Imagine tuning your brain like a high-performance engine, pushing it to work faster, harder, and more efficiently. But what happens when you push it too far? This is the dark side of brain overclocking, when aggressive cognitive enhancement strategies start to backfire. Have you ever wondered if there's a point where boosting your brain's performance might actually cause harm? Take nootropics, for instance, the so-called smart drugs that promise to sharpen focus and memory. In moderate amounts, they might give you that extra edge. However, when used excessively or without proper guidance, they can upset the delicate balance of neurotransmitters in your brain. Imagine an orchestra where every instrument suddenly plays too loudly. The result isn't harmony, but a cacophony that can lead to anxiety, mood swings, or even chronic stress. Isn't it ironic that the very tools designed to enhance your cognitive abilities might eventually impair them? Then there are non-invasive brain stimulation techniques like transcranial direct current stimulation, RDCS. These methods can temporarily boost certain mental functions by sending mild electrical currents into specific parts of the brain. But aggressive or unsupervised use could disrupt the natural neural circuits that have been carefully fine-tuned over a lifetime. Think of it like adjusting the settings on a sophisticated computer system. If you tweak the wrong parameters too much, you might end up with glitches in judgment, creativity, or emotional balance. Moreover, aggressive enhancement strategies often neglect the essential need for rest and recovery. Just as your muscles need downtime after intense exercise, your brain also requires periods of rest to consolidate memories and repair neural connections. When you overclock your brain without giving it the chance to recover, you risk burnout, mental fatigue, and even long-term cognitive decline. Ask yourself, can a constantly overworked brain really sustain peak performance over time, or is there a hidden cost to this relentless pursuit of mental prowess? Another unexpected downside is the potential for dependency and tolerance. Some users find that the initial boost from cognitive enhancers diminishes over time, leading them to increase the dosage, much like an athlete who risks injury by constantly pushing their limits. This escalating cycle can not only erode natural cognitive functions, but also create a reliance on artificial means for everyday functioning. In the quest for advanced cognitive abilities, it's crucial to ask, where do we draw the line between enhancement and overreach? The dark side of brain overclocking teaches us that more isn't always better. Aggressive strategies might offer short-term gains, but without proper balance, they can lead to long-term damage, undermining the very qualities they aim to improve. The challenge lies in finding a sustainable approach that respects the brain's natural rhythms while still pursuing growth and innovation. In conclusion, while the allure of a supercharged mind is compelling, it's essential to consider the risks of pushing cognitive enhancement strategies too far. The balance between stimulation and rest, moderation and ambition is delicate. When enhancement goes wrong, the consequences may be far more serious than a temporary boost in performance. Could the drive to overclock our brains ultimately slow us down? The evidence suggests that cautious, well-regulated approaches are the key to true cognitive resilience, ensuring that our quest for excellence doesn't end up compromising our overall brain health. Cognitive enhancers, such as stimulants and nootropics, artificially elevate neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, which are critical for focus, motivation, and mood regulation. However, chronic overstimulation of dopamine receptors can lead to receptor downregulation, meaning the brain becomes less responsive to natural dopamine production, resulting in anhedonia, lack of pleasure, apathy, and reduced motivation. This dysregulation is seen in stimulant overuse, where users initially experience heightened cognitive function, but later suffer from emotional blunting and cognitive fatigue. A Journal of Psychopharmacology 2020 study showed that long-term stimulant users exhibited reduced baseline dopamine levels, making normal activities less rewarding. It's like constantly overcharging a battery. Eventually, it loses its ability to hold a charge, requiring constant stimulation just to function normally. Aggressive cognitive enhancement often involves sacrificing sleep, either by using stimulants to prolong wakefulness or through extreme biohacking practices like polyphasic sleep schedules. However, deep sleep, particularly slow wave and REM sleep, is essential for synaptic pruning, memory consolidation, and emotional regulation. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs hippocampal function, leading to long-term cognitive decline, mood instability, and an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. A Nature Neuroscience 2021 study found that individuals sleeping fewer than 5 hours per night for extended periods exhibited significant hippocampal shrinkage and memory deficit. Skipping sleep to boost cognitive performance is like trying to drive a car faster by skipping oil changes. Short-term gains lead to long-term breakdown. While stimulants and cognitive enhancers improve sustained attention and task persistence, they can also lead to cognitive rigidity, difficulty in switching perspectives, or thinking outside structured frameworks. Studies have shown that high dopamine levels induced by enhancers may suppress spontaneous and divergent thinking, reducing creative problem-solving abilities. Over time, users become overly focused on linear, goal-oriented tasks at the expense of innovative thought and flexible cognition. A Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews 2022 study found that individuals using high doses of cognitive enhancers performed worse on tests measuring divergent thinking and problem-solving adaptability. It's like sharpening a knife too much. It may cut efficiently in a straight line, but it becomes too brittle to adapt to unexpected challenges. Neuroenhancement strategies that elevate norepinephrine and cortisol can trigger excessive stress responses, leading to heightened anxiety, emotional instability, and even panic attacks. Over time, chronic stress exposure can shrink the prefrontal cortex responsible for rational thinking while enlarging the amygdala, responsible for fear and emotional reactions, making individuals more prone to irrational fears and emotional outbursts. This paradoxically undermines long-term cognitive performance, as heightened stress reduces working memory and decision-making capabilities. A Biological Psychiatry 2020 study found that chronic stimulant users reported higher levels of social anxiety, irritability, and impulsive decision-making compared to non-users. It's like turbocharging an engine without upgrading the brakes. Eventually, the system spins out of control. The brain adapts to artificial cognitive enhancers by building tolerance, requiring progressively higher doses to achieve the same effects. This creates a cycle where natural cognitive abilities feel sluggish without enhancement, leading to dependency and reduced baseline cognitive performance over time. When the user stops taking enhancers, withdrawal effects such as brain fog, fatigue, and reduced focus can last for weeks or even months. A Psychopharmacology 2021 study showed that students who regularly used stimulants during exam periods experienced withdrawal effects, including decreased motivation and reduced attention span, even after stopping use. It's like increasing the brightness on a screen too high. Eventually, your eyes adjust, and everything looks too dim without artificial enhancement. Some cognitive enhancement techniques, particularly those that involve sustained overuse of nootropics or sleep deprivation, may accelerate neurodegeneration. Studies suggest that chronic overstimulation of neural pathways can lead to oxidative stress, inflammation, and reduced neurogenesis, increasing the likelihood of diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Additionally, long-term overuse of stimulants has been linked to premature cognitive aging and decreased brain plasticity. The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences 2022 study found that long-term stimulant users exhibited reduced gray matter volume in the prefrontal cortex, correlating with decreased cognitive resilience in later life. It's like revving an engine at max speed for too long. It wears out faster and becomes more prone to irreversible damage. The use of cognitive enhancers in competitive fields creates ethical dilemmas, as individuals feel pressure to use them just to keep up, even if they don't want to. This creates an unfair advantage for those who have access to enhancers, leading to inequality in academic and professional environments. Additionally, normalizing cognitive enhancement raises concerns about long-term societal dependence on artificial intelligence and pharmaceuticals for basic mental performance. A Harvard Bioethics Journal 2019 article discussed how workplace productivity expectations in high-stress industries have led to increasing stimulant use among professionals, creating ethical concerns about cognitive doping. It's like performance-enhancing drugs in sports. Once everyone starts using them, those who don't are left behind. Enhancers that artificially boost motivation and focus can reduce the brain's ability to generate intrinsic motivation. Over time, individuals may find it difficult to engage in tasks without external stimulation, making them dependent on enhancers for productivity. This reliance can erode self-discipline, leading to a feedback loop where natural cognitive performance feels insufficient without enhancement. A Journal of Neuroscience 2018 study found that students who relied on cognitive enhancers during academic periods struggled to maintain motivation and productivity after discontinuing their use. It's like using training wheels forever. Eventually, the brain forgets how to balance on its own. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and rewire itself, is crucial for long-term learning, emotional resilience, and cognitive flexibility. Overuse of enhancement strategies can interfere with this process, reducing the brain's ability to naturally develop and respond to new challenges. In extreme cases, this can lead to decreased adaptability, impaired learning, and cognitive rigidity. A Neuropharmacology 2023 study found that individuals who heavily relied on nootropics exhibited lower long-term learning retention and decreased problem-solving adaptability compared to control groups. It's like over-reliance on GPS navigation. Without it, your brain loses its ability to naturally orient and solve problems.